Nou kyk, as deel van die Menseregtedag wat volgende week Dinsdag is, kuier Alan Browde volgende by ons. Nou, hy is die stigter van SA Harvest. En ons praat spesifiek oor hulle plan om hongersnood te bekamp. Good morning, Alan.
Good morning. How are you?
We're well. Thank you so much for joining us this morning to speak about this very important topic, Alan. But I want to start with SA Harvest. Give us a bit of background on who is SA Harvest.
So we're what we call a food activist organization, which is based really on two fundamental activities. The first is a charity initiative which rescues food from the food chain, right from farmers through to retailers, manufacturers. This food would have gone to waste for various reasons. We rescue that food and we deliver it for free to more than 200 beneficiaries around the country who feed hungry people on a daily basis. Now, our mission is to end hunger in South Africa. Many people, say to us, well, that's a huge task, and is it really realistic? We believe it absolutely is, with the correct intervention. So on the other side, while understanding that charity keeps people alive, and it's absolutely necessary at this time in South Africa, it doesn't end hunger. Charity perpetuates a certain dependence. It is fraught with indignity. And while absolutely essential, we understand that it would be the systemic and sustainable interventions like education, employment, government intervention, that type of thing is our other part of the business. And that would be the initiatives that ultimately end hunger in our country.
Wow. Alan, perhaps you can just tell us how many people in South Africa face food vulnerability?
Well, the figure that everybody accepts in our industry is that it's 20 million, 1/3 of our country. Now, this is on a spectrum, and right from the sort of high end of the spectrum, we have people who go to bed hungry every night, and that's probably round about 3 to 4 million people, including millions of children, to our absolute shame and disgrace. That millions of children go to sleep hungry every night in a country that has an excess of food. It's not like we don't have food. And then from there on through the spectrum, it's people basically who cannot afford a meal, who cannot afford enough food on a monthly basis. They run out of money. So the bottom line about hunger in South Africa is that it's a catastrophe. People don't realize that. One of my arguments always is that you hear about things that we need to do as a country, we need to do from a government point of view, we need to do from a societal point of view, and you very rarely hear about hunger. And to my mind, it's the basic scourge of the damage in our country. These kids who are going to sleep hungry every night, and whose parents can't afford a full nutritious meal over the month. These kids are suffering huge damage, like stunting. When you're stunted, you don't fulfill your physical growth potential. You aren't able to focus in school and concentrate, and it has everlasting damage. So, the hunger situation is, I don't use the word lightly, it's catastrophic.
I think it is quite shocking because you just mentioned the fact that there's not a shortage of food. There is enough food. It's just how we give it. And there are still millions of people in South Africa that go to bed hungry. And the repercussions thereof, you mentioned the stunting. We can speak about people then becoming desperate, and will add to crime rate because, you have to feed your family. We can speak about employment. How do people go to work if they're hungry and they haven't eaten? How do kids concentrate? I mean, it's a whole cycle. That's something that malnutrition affects. And I think the fact that you say there is food, there is enough food to feed these people, we should just actually have better plans and implement them. So I guess my question then to you is, how do we get involved? What are some of those plans that we can implement to change this?
So, yeah, I mean, this is the million-dollar question. And from our perspective, as I said, we get involved in a number of ways, both from the charity side and the systemic side. And I think in terms of the question is quite broad. I mean, in terms of individuals, you know, we can do a lot of things. Firstly, I think the important thing is to spread the consciousness in some way or another about what is happening in our country. And then is to get involved, even from the tiniest step of helping to train, helping to educate, getting into the communities, seeing what's going on there, helping people to cook, helping to bring food, helping NGOs like ourselves who do this all day and on a daily basis. But I tell you, just to go back to what you were so correctly saying about the real ramifications of the hunger and of the sort of socio-physical effect, is that food is wasted on a massive level in South Africa.
Yeah.
We have 10 million tons. Now, 10 million tons of good food that goes to waste across the food chain is equivalent to approximately 30 billion, with a B, billion meals a year.
Wow.
You know, if you do it in terms of how we do a meal by weight. Now, if you take 20 million people 3 times a day for a year, that is equivalent to about 20 billion meals. So just in waste alone, there's enough food to feed our people. And that's apart from the interventions that the government should be taking and that society should be taking, just waste alone. So
Wow.
one of the huge things that we can do as individuals is be conscious of food waste, both from farming to manufacturing, where there's massive food waste, through to obviously retail. We know the date system causes huge waste, and of course at home. So that's one area which could make a significant difference.
Absolutely. Alan, thank you so much for joining us this morning and just creating some awareness. I think, like you said wisely, it all starts with creating awareness, and that's something each individual can absolutely do. And it's not about just creating a charity system, but it is helping people become independent so they can start looking after themselves. But thank you so much for joining us this morning and speaking about this very important topic.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Dit is natuurlijk Alan Browde van die SA Harvest. Sien, jy kan ook 'n verskil maak al is dit net om daaroor te gesels.